this computer. Okay, so welcome to the inaugural session of the Art Lace for Absolute Beginners class. I am Pierre Fouchier, and your co-teacher is Carolyn Einhorn, and we are here to show you the ropes in show the threads and the ropes in making lace. So the process that I would like us to follow is very much a crash course in very basic bobbin lace techniques in order to just give you the confidence to get going from the start and to be able to improvise and play with skills that build on each other. We're going to start with a piece lace, because that is the most versatile lace that you can make things with with just a few techniques. Let me show you a couple of examples what I'm talking about. This camera. Here I have a couple of samples, just of some samples that I'm working on and experiments that I'm doing. So piece lace, this is an example of a piece lace technique. So it's just using a few bobbins and then making a braid or a plait of sorts, and then just have it meander like a maze around. And there are so many different techniques and textures that you can create with that. So it is versatile. It's quick because you only have a few bobbins on the pillow, and you can pretty much draw with it and do anything you like with it. So this is where I'd like us to start off with and to get going today already. And then moving up from that is continuous lace, which is basically just piece lace, but just a little bit more severe. So continuous lace is also a braid of sorts, but it's just in a grid and a little bit more severe. And like the piece lace and the tape lace meanders, you can also have a continuous lace meander. Like this one was started with just 8 pairs, started at the corner, and then it meanders up and down. So I didn't work it in one go. So it was just a couple of it was a braid like that, but just worked in diagonals and then turning at the corners. So it snakes, zigzags through, and then it's connected with sewings at the seams. And then between these two techniques, you will get to know most of the most common bobbin lace techniques that you can then apply to your own work. So now Thori and Sarah have some experience. Let me just go back there. So I ask your patience when we, while we just get Kat up to speed. The first thing that you need to know is just how to wind your bobbin so that your bobbins don't fall off from the threads, because that is very frustrating if you get started. So it's very important to get this right. What do you have to make lace with today? What did you bring?
I've got polyester crochet thread.
Nice.
And 2 bobbins.
And you made those yourself? Wow.
Yeah. They're just pieces of skewer with beads on the end.
Nice. Give it some light. They'll work beautifully.
Great.
Sarah, what did you're kitted out? You've got real bobbins, I'm sure. Oh, you're muted. Sorry.
Yeah, I have my bobbins, and I have a selection of different threads around, and yeah.
Okay, and where's Thori? Thori, what did you have for us?
I have two different types of bobbins. I'm not sure which one to use. This is the one that I got in Iceland, and this one I bought in Spain. So I think I will use the smaller one
Okay.
for this time, and just a very fine thread.
Oh, nice.
So yeah.
So like Kat, I'm also going to use a crochet thread, and I'm going to use a just a dowel stick to use as a bobbin. Now, I've made many of these because I was working with quite thick rope at once, so I sawed the neck. See it. And just to keep the hitch in place for a thicker throat, but with finer thread, you don't need that neck. It's just because with a polyester rope, it needed a little, it untangled quickly. It's just a little bit more secure. So you can use anything as a bobbin. Just it needs to be straight. It needs to be secure. It needs to be. You need to be able to hold it in your hand. Just go back to the demonstration camera. And actually, a nice bobbin is a simple laundry peg. It takes a very this is wound with a silk thread, and the easiest way to keep it secure is it has its own little latch. So you wind it on and then just secure it with then you can make lace with that, and they fit nicely in your hand. You can twist them around well. So if push comes to shove and you have nothing at home, you know, laundry pegs, you could make beautiful lace with laundry pegs. Now, lace is usually made with pairs of bobbins. So with one long length of thread or rope with two bobbins attached. That is simply so that you can start by hanging your pairs off a pin. Then the beginning of the lace will be smooth. There are no loose ends that you need to work away. You basically start with a nice loop that you can, if you working around, then you can sew the ends of the lace to the beginning if it's a doily or a circle or a shape. So a convention to do that, you don't need to. You can start lace with loose strands, of course, too. It's just easier to think in pairs. So let's do that. So your thread or string, spool off about 2 meters or 2 nice fat arm widths. And when you spool your thread off your, have the spool twirl. Don't do that, because then you add twist to the thread. So 2 nice arms lengths full. And then halve them so that you know where the middle is. And then right in the middle of the thread, I make just a little snip knot, so that you know where the middle is. Don't make it too tight so that it's difficult to.
Does everyone know how to make that, Pia? Because it's such a useful knot to know.
Yeah, let's just go through it. A slip knot is now in the middle of a loop, you need to make a loop. And then you put 2 fingers through the loop and take one end and simply pull tight, and then you have a slip knot. Then you can hold the knot and adjust the loop, the noose, And then the nice thing about a snip knot is it's temporary, because if you pull the ends, it collapses in of itself. So a loop, put your fingers through the loop and take one end and just pull tight until you have a little noose. Okay, so this is now just a placeholder, just to show us where the middle is, because you're going to wind the bobbin until just about there. Now, go to the end. Now, just to get started, hold your bobbin in your left hand and put your thread just near the top of the bobbin, and then press it down with your thumb, so that there's maybe about a centimeter of space from the end. And then wind the thread over and under. And then on the second one, go over, catch the tail that you're holding underneath your thumb. And maybe catch that tail 5 times. And then it should be secure. Now, once the thread isn't spooling off the bobbin, transfer the bobbin to your right hand. And then you can start winding the thread onto your bobbin by turning the bobbin. Now, if you turn the bobbin, you don't add any twist to the thread. So the thread stays in balance that way. If you can, of course, wind this way, but this adds twist to the thread, and it might make the thread a little bit unyielding later on. So just continue winding. It doesn't have to be super neat and tidy. Your hitch will keep the bobbin in place, and then once you reach your middle marker, maybe leave about 20 centimeters, and now you want to secure the thread to the bobbin with a hitch. Now, a simple hitch is an ingenious little invention for bobbin lace, because it allows you to lengthen the thread easily, and also to tighten it up easily, so that it makes bobbin management on the pillow very easy. So a simple hitch is hold the thread in your left hand, hold the bobbin in your right, maybe leave an index finger open, hold the thread with your thumb and your middle finger. Then wrap the thread over and under your index finger, and then scoop the front strand of the loop and put the end through the loop. And then gently release and tighten that loop onto the bobbin. And then you should be able to tighten that knot by twisting the bobbin to the right. And then it should be quite secure. Let me do that again. And a simple hitch. Maybe I can do it a little bit closer too. Okay. Hold the bobbin in your right hand. Hold the thread in between your thumb and your middle finger. Loop the thread over and to the back of your index finger, and then scoop with the end of the bobbin from the right to the left, over and through the loop. And then tighten that little loop. So it's a little half hitch that you then tighten into a tight knot by holding the thread tightly in your left hand and then twisting the bobbin to the right with your right hand. Once it's nice and tight, then your thread should be fairly secure. Now, some threads are so slippery that a half hitch isn't enough. So let me show you just how to make a double looped half hitch that is a little bit stronger. Begin the same as the half hitch. Holding the thread in your left hand between your thumb and index finger. Get over your index finger and then scooping over and under to the left, through the loop once and then twice. So you just rotate that loop twice around the head of the bobbin. And then you tighten it as you did previously. And that second twist helps to secure more shear threads like silk and rayon. Well, rayon is super slippery, not even these double twisted half hitch will keep rayon on the bobbin, but this will keep the bobbin tight. Now to do your bobbin management, if you want to lengthen the bobbin, the thread on the bobbin, all you need to do is to keep the thread in tension and then rotate the bobbin to the left. Lefty-loosey. So imagine the grain of your bobbin should rotate to the left, and that's how you. And then once you have the desired length, remember to lock the hitch again by tightening it, by just giving it a nice pull, rotating it to the right, just to get that hitch secure again so that it doesn't loosen. Okay, now to say your bobbin, you added too much length and you want to make it a little bit shorter. A nice way to do that is to now just open up the hitch a little bit. And then you can use either your finger or a knitting needle or a tool of sorts. I always just use my finger because it's easiest. And then rotate the bobbin to the right. And that will spool thread back onto the bobbin. Just make the hitch a little bit longer if need be. And once the thread and bobbin is long enough, you can just tighten that hitch again by giving it tension and then twisting it a little bit to the right. So that righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Right, tight, left, loose, right, tight. And right is also your lock. So you'll get into, you'll practice this and get into muscle memory that every now and again you need to add some length to the bobbin and tighten it again. Let's wind the other side of the thread to the second bobbin so that we have a nice pair. Okay, hold the bobbin in your right hand. Put the end of the thread just near the top. press it down with your thumb so that it's about 1 centimeter from the top of the bobbin, and then start winding it over and under. So if you look at the top, you're winding clockwise. About 5 times, just catching the tail until it is secure. And then you can transfer the bobbin to your right hand and then wind the rest of the thread on by rotating the bobbin. Until it's about a ruler's width far apart, and then secure the second bobbin also with a hitch. I'll just demonstrate again. Hold it between your thumb and index finger, the thread, over your index finger, and then catch with the top of the bobbin over and under the loop. If you want it extra secured, give it another twist around the top of the bobbin, and then secure the hitch, and then rotate the bobbin to the right just to lock that little knot in place. And then you have a pair that you can easily manipulate and make lace with. So this is a pair. You would also count the amount of bobbins that you need in pairs. So if lots of books will give you instructions, you'd need 25 pairs, and then this is what they mean. You need 25 of these, so that would be 50 individual bobbins wound together in pairs like this. Now, to make lace, you're also going to need a pricking of sorts. So for today's exercise, I want you to get a piece of paper and a piece of cardboard. I'm just going to work directly on the cardboard because I'm just using a cereal box. It's a nice thickness card to use for a pattern pricking. And I would like you to make a single line expressive little medallion drawing. Don't overthink it. Channel your inner Jackson Pollock. You're going to make an expressive squiggle of sorts using only one line. So draw one of these bad boys. I'll give you a couple of minutes. Maybe you want to try out 2 or 3 options and then choose the best one. You can do that on paper too, of course. Just one line, don't lift your. You can get some variance in the line quality. And then choose one that you like. cut it out. And then glue it onto your cardboard using paper glue. I'm just going to use the one that's already on my cardboard, so I'm not going to do that step. Because I've now used pencil on the pricking, if I'm going to work with white thread directly onto the pricking, the pencil, the graphite is going to give off on the lace, and it's going to be difficult, hard to clean up. So to protect the thread from your drawing or your design, you can use contact adhesive just to put some film over your drawing. Now, you can also use plastic tape to cover your pricking with, because it serves the same purpose. It's just to protect the thread from your drawing, but also afterwards, when you need to block your lace, the little plastic foam helps so that you don't glue the lace to the paper and then you ruin the lace. So just having a little plastic film between the paper and the thread is useful for blocking and also for sewings, actually, because when you work with a fine crochet hook on paper sometimes, and if the cardboard is thin, you can stick through the cardboard by accident, and then you struggle to make the lace. And then having it be a little bit plasticky is just will help you with sewing, so that you don't gash the pricking and get paper fibers on the lace. Now, I'm not going to cover this demonstration pricking in film just because it reflects on the camera and then it won't look great on. So I'd risk some graphite on my lace so that it can remain in focus and that you'd be able to see better.
Pierre,
Yes.
when you put the that drawing onto the you hold on to the backing, keep the backing.
Oh no! You need to.
You take the backing off.
No, because so let me do it.
No, I'm asking. I'm just suggesting that I usually keep the backing on.
So you just sandwich it in.
Yeah.
Oh, that's clever. Yes. Nice.
And then, so you've got a little bit more.
And then it's slightly thicker too. Then you can actually just use paper maybe. Let me give it a try. I have such thin.
Especially if you use photocopy paper. Yep.
Okay. Now my pricking is.
Gibble.
Oh, and using contact film is such a dark art.
You need a ruler.
Just a sock or something to buff it in place, but let's.
If you take the straight edge from a ruler, there you go. Well done. Yeah.
Oh, now there is a slight sheen. Oh, it's
okay. You
it's
can
okay.
see it.
It's okay. You can still see the design. Okay. Are you ready? Do you have your pricking ready? Okay. And what are you using as a pillow, Kat?
The makeshift pillow here with some batting and fabric.
Perfect. Perfect. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, Carolyn, you need to help get hold of a pillow somehow.
Yeah, now I've got some spare pillows. You can have, we'll make a plan.
Oh, cool. Okay, let me remove the spotlight again. Okay. Where are my? Secure the pricking to your pillow with a couple of pins so that it doesn't move around. Now find the beginning of your drawing and press a pin in where you'd like to start. Hang your pair around that pin. Now you're going to start interpreting your drawing just with twists and pins. So maybe get into a rhythm. Now, a twist is, in bobbin lace terms, a very specific thing that always means the right bobbin over the left one. So just get into the habit thinking right over left, right over left, right over left. And then there are 3 twists that you can then secure onto the line by placing a pin in between the 2 threads. Three twists, pin, 3 twists, pin. Twist, twist. Twist, twist, twist. Twist, twist, twist. Twist, twist, twist. Twist always right over left. And you can use the pin to tighten the twist just until it's comfortable. Just have the thread and the twist give the spacing just to get a feel for how your thread twists together. Now, my bobbins are getting very short, so I'm going to need to lengthen them a little bit. I need to do some bobbin management. So to lengthen your bobbins, just a reminder, hold the thread tight with your left hand and then rotate the bobbin to the left. So lefty, loosey. just a little bit, just a half turn, and then tighten the hitch again by then rotating it to the right again. So just holding the thread to lengthen, rotate the bobbin to the left, lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. And now you have space to continue the work again. You don't need to add in 3 twists before you pin. Of course, you can pin after 1 twist or 2 twists. It's simply just to even out the work into a rhythm for now. Because the twists create a straight line. So the more pins you have, the more curvy your line will become. Because the pins are node points where the line bends slightly. So the more pins you have, the more curvy the line will be. Now, when you reach a corner, like I'm doing here, and I need the line, the twisted line, to turn a sharp corner, I'm not going to put. I'm going to pin outside. It's not in between the 2 threads, just so that that pin keeps helps the twisted pair turn a sharp corner. You can play with tension too, but then it makes the slight little loop if it's on the inside. And if you want to keep the integrity of that corner better, just pin on the inside, pin on the outside of the pair instead of on the inside. Now, just make sure that you didn't lose any twist, or that you twisted, stack the twist behind the pin, because the pin also locks the twists in place. So actually, let me just double check that by doing these last again. So I have about 2 twists actually just 1 to reach the corner, pin outside the 2, and then continue with the twists. Now, for the next section of your drawing, I'd like to show you how to create a little bit more of an interesting dynamic, a feathered line, if you will, using only 2 pairs. By placing the pin a little bit outside the line, you create a little loop. So pin a little bit outside the line. Three twists, and then pin on the other side of the line, also a little bit further away. 3 twists. And here the 3 twists are integral because that gives you a central core, that you can manipulate in place. Three twists, and then tension by just swiveling the one bobbin with a central, the that is the armature of now this little feathered line. And then let's call the other bobbin the leaf bobbin, the one that you pin outside. Three twists. Swing the bobbins around just to tension so that the threads loop over each other. I need to lengthen my bobbins. Three twists. Then outside the line, three twists. Then outside the line. Now I want to turn a corner again. Oh, but there's a little squiggle in my design, so let's add a leaf shape. Now, I want to secure the corner with a pin, but I also want my leaf shape a little bit on the left. And continue 1, 2, 3. You also don't need to zigzag your stagger. They can all be on one side too. So maybe for the next section, experiment with doing all the leaf shapes just on one side. 2, 3. Oh, but then you would need just 2 twists or 4 so that it's the same thread that makes the leaf shape, so that your leaf bobbin stays the leaf bobbin. I added 4 twists just so that there's a little bit of length between the 2 shapes. So pin outside the line, 1, 2, 3, 4. Pin the leaf in place. Now my central line isn't staying where I want it to, so I'm going to just adjust it a little bit with some support pins. Two, 3, 4. Okay, so what I mean with that support pin is it's like a corner, like turning a corner. So just pinning outside both threads, because the leaf thread wants to pull the central core thread away from where you want it to stay. 2, 4. I have now reached a point in my design where I have a branch that ends nowhere. So I'm going to interpret that little branch by just returning my twists along the same line, but then making a sewing so that it is secured and a nice strong branch. So let me show you how to do a sewing. To do a sewing, you're going to need some space. So it is best to stick down to press down your pins. That is where a little tool like this comes in handy. It is simply just a machined little piece of steel with a slightly indented tip that is easy to.
But a thumb works well.
Pardon, Carolyn?
A thumb works well.
Of course, a thumb works well. I have a straw fold cookie pillow, so it's a bit heavier. It's a bit hard on my thumb.
Can you get them in Cape Town? Your straw-filled pillow.
There used to be a pillow maker. She passed, but there are quite a few in circulation around. It's my favorite pillow. I love working on a straw filled pillow. It's just keeps the pins so secure.
Yeah. It doesn't disintegrate.
And it doesn't disintegrate. Yes, like
Because
a polystyrene, once you have put a hole in it, the hole stays there, and then you start pushing it up by adding in more holes. Okay, I'm going to make the line that I want to sew a little bit longer. Just to explain what I'm going to do now, this little line that I just interpreted with a couple of twists, I'm going to reverse and work back. But then after every 2 or 3 twists, I'm going to make a sewing to attach these 2 threads to the existing twisted 2 threads. So to make a sewing, so now I want to attach the new line to the old line. If you have a fine crochet hook, that's a very useful thing to do sewings with, but I now don't have one, so I'm just going to use a pin. So the idea is to hook the thread that is closest to the part where you want to sew the line to, and just drag it underneath the existing lace. Just a loop. Once you have a loop, you can maybe lengthen your bobbin so that you can make the loop big enough for the other bobbin to pass through the loop. I'm going to make the loop a little bit longer. Okay, so I've pulled a loop through of the bobbin that was closest to the existing lace through, and then I'm going to pass the second bobbin through the loop And then gently, I actually like using just a pen or a needle to collapse that stitch onto the existing lace, and then you can bring the second bobbin back to the working side. Maybe secure that little stitch that you just made, that sewing, with a pin. Make 2 or 3 twists and then do another sewing. Necessary? No, I don't think it's necessary. Just demonstrating the sewing again. Maybe remove one pin just to give myself some space to scoop the thread that is closest to the part that you want to attach to the lace underneath the existing lace. Longer. Where's that long pin that I just had? Great. So just catch a loop. Put the second bobbin through the loop. And then just gently secure the loop back. And then wiggle both bobbins until that little hitch is nice and tidy around the lace. Now, this maneuver is called a mock plait, because the result is a line that looks like it was plaited with 4 threads instead of just 2. And this is a very useful method to back up. So if you end at a point where you can't continue, you can reverse a little bit with sewings and then continue where your line takes off. So I want to continue with this line further. So I'm going to make a couple more sewings until I reach that point. 1, 2 twists. Make a sewing. One, 2 twists. 3 twists. Just so that the final sewing is right on the end of this little leaf loop. Maybe I'm going to have to remove that pin. And this is not really where a crochet hook would come in handy. There we go. Pass the second bobbin through the loop. All right, and I'm good to go now for quite a long bit with my twists again. Do you think you'd be able to manage sewings?
It looks quite complicated.
It is literally just hooking one thread underneath the lace in a loop and then pushing the other bobbin through the loop and then just tensioning it lightly until it knots in place. And that is also a maneuver that you can use when your line starts to cross another line. At that cross, the lace will be much more secure if you make a sewing. So when I get there, I'll show you. When you make another sewing to continue the line, then it's locked in place. Then it's it won't just be a line that a loose thread that untangles when you take it off the pillow. It'll be secured. Now I'd like to show you a second way that you can create branches or leaf shapes using this technique. And that is a maneuver called a picot, or a one pair picot, because you only need one pair of bobbins to make this picot. It's like the little split pairs leaves that we made, except this shape is a little bit more rounded and you can shape it in a triangle shape. So it's a little bit more versatile. So it's almost as creating a single thread shape that is branched onto your main branch. So like before, you're going to pin the picot outside on either side of the thread. So if you want the picot to be on the right, then you will slide in a pin from the right underneath the first thread, and then you're going to hook the left thread. Now, this is some bending space-time, but it's actually just a rotation, a vertical rotation. Yeah, let me do that again. You want the picot to be on the right, so you slide in the pin from the right underneath the first thread, over the second thread, and then you rotate the whole pin vertically. until you have that strange twist maneuver. Now to finish off this picot, now you need to slide the pin, end of the pin upwards, facing you, facing your face, and in between the two threads downwards again, facing away from you. Again, a full vertical rotation. And then carefully slip the end of the pin in between the two threads at the end. And then you have a little loop in a knot that you can pin to the side and then wiggle the two bobbins. And you'll see one opens it up and the other one closes it. And then just to prove a point, I'm going to open up the picot into a little triangle shape, tensioning one side to keep the knot in place again, securing it with 3 twists. Practice the second one with me. Let me do it on the same side. I want to create a second picot, again on the right side of the vein. Let's call it the vein, the central line. So I want the picot on the right, so I'm sliding the pin from the right under and over the 2 threads. So under and over the 2 threads. Then I'm going to rotate the pin vertically like that. Then rotate the pin upwards to face your face, and then downwards away from you in between the 2 bobbin threads. And you continue that rotation to the back. And then in the space between the 2 threads, so you swivel the end of the pin from the back to the front through the 2 threads attached to the lace. And now you have a little slip knot. And then you can place the pin where you want the end of the picot to be. And then, now for some reason, my picot isn't tensioning. I think I maybe split the ply. So let me try again. Bring the pin under from the right, because I want the picot to be on the right. So you scoop the left thread underneath the right thread. So under and over the 2 threads from the right, under and then over. Rotate the pin vertically 180 degrees. Now you have a little twist that you can move up and down. Now rotate the pin towards your face and then away from your face, but in between the two bobbin threads, closest to the bobbin. So you're swiveling the pin down again, away from your face, in between the two bobbins. Continuing that movement, continuing that swivel, and then the end of the pin in between the two threads that are attached to the pricking. And then you have a slip knot. Put the pin to the side of your vein line. And for some reason, it's not tensioning right. Well, you can also just use a needle to open up the loop again. You'll see one bobbin tightens the slip knot. And then just wiggle the knot around until it falls into a place where you want it. Maybe you can force the loop open again, like I'm doing here, and to make a triangle picot. And then find the bobbin that locks the knot in place. And just tension it so that the knot falls on the vein line again. Then continue your vein with twists. Picots are also, you don't need to stretch them out into such big shapes. They can also just be a tiny, tiny little loop on the end, on the edge of the thread. Let me try that. So I'm not going to make a picot on the left this time. Just use a normal pin for the other so that you can see the shape. I want the picot on the left, so I'm going to slide the needle of the pin from the left under the first thread over the second thread. Now I'm going to rotate the pin vertically 180 degrees. Then you should have a twist in the thread that you can bring forward and backward. Then you're going to point the pen to your face. And then away from your face, downwards again, but through the through the two threads that are attached to the bobbin. And then finally, again, the end of the pin carefully in between the two threads that are attached to the pricking. And then just wiggle the two bobbins lightly to tension, picot in place. And now this time around, I'm not going to force it out too much so that it's just a little branch, just a tiny little branch. But these other pins are in the way now. I'm just going to press them down. Just experiment with the tensioning of a picot. You'll find that one loosens, pulling on one bobbin loosens it up, pulling on a second tightens it back again. You can also put a support pin on either side just to force it back into the vein line. And with some practice, you'll quickly get into the habit of how it is done. And it won't feel like such a weird bending space-time maneuver. It'll actually just be a scoop, swivel around, and pin. Let's maybe just do one more again together to the left for some more practice. Okay, so I'm now going to, wait, I want a little bit more space. Add two more twists. I want to make a picot to the left. So I'm sliding a pin under and over from the left. Rotating the pin vertically 180 degrees. Sliding the end of the pin. Okay. I'm going to have to transpose it to another hand. I'm not that flexible. Then the end of the pin, rotate it up to your face. And then down through the two bobbin threads. And rotate it vertically, continue away from you, and then finally sliding the end of the pin between the two bobbin threads. And then you can relax the tension of everything and just secure the pin where you want the picot to be. And then wiggle the two bobbins so that that slip knot falls where you want it. And then you can continue the work. Cool. Secure it with the pin. Any success with picots? No smile, say no. Let's try one more together. Let's make a picot on the right. Keep the bobbins in just a gentle pressure. Just don't pull on them. Just have them relaxed in your left hand. Maybe you remove all the twists so that the pairs are just secured with a pin, but the pin is open. You don't have any twists after them. That might also help a little bit. The idea is to scoop the thread that is furthest away underneath the other thread. Let me try a different way to explain this. So take your pin underneath the right thread, over the left thread, and loop it underneath the right thread. Now swivel your pin and then bring the end in between the two threads on the bobbin side of that little twist that you made. And then through the lace side of the two threads. And that is the picot. can place the pin then a little bit away from the line. And the slip knot, you should be able to tension by just wiggling the two bobbins. One opens up the picot, the other one loops around the slip knot, loops around the other. Now, you can also really go crazy with picot too. So if you open up that loop really big, you can create a very big shape. The shape. Like it's a little bit smoother. And then just to lock that little slip knot in place, you can secure it with a support pin on either side of that slip knot, actually. That'll really keep it in place. I think this is maybe a slightly easier way to explain that picot. So let me go over that again. Don't close your last pin, just so that there's a pin, but it's not closed with a twist. We're going to make a picot on the right, so let's slide the pin from the right under and over and hook the left thread underneath the right thread. Up the pin towards you, and then over and under the two threads on the bobbin side. And then rotate the pin end of the front through the two threads on the lace side. Take the pin just to the edge, just to the off to the side of the vein, and wiggle them until you have a slip knot. Onto the vein. And I'm now the twisted line crosses a previous one, so I'm going to make a sewing. You slide a pin or a crochet hook underneath the existing lace, and you just hook the thread that is closest to the underneath, making a loop. maybe lengthen the thread a little bit, rotating the bobbin to the left, that you have a comfortable loop, and then you pass the second bobbin through that loop. And then you just close the loop again, have the loop collapse on itself, and you'll see the threads are now locked over the existing lace. Now my one bobbin is much longer than the other, so I'm just going to shorten it again. Shorten the bobbin, you just open up the hitch a little bit and then rotate bobbin to the right. Locked in place again. You with your line. That brings us, I think, pretty much to the end of our first session. We've gone through a lot. I would like you to practice all of these with on the piece that you are working on at the moment. And try to do as many picots as you can. It's a really useful and a fun thing. Try splitting the picots open into different shapes. Try making leaf shapes. Tiny little picots just on one side. I'll show you how to starch your lace, and then we're going to move on to just going to change my camera again. How are you doing? Are you managing?
I think I'm definitely making some progress. Because are starting to look less mysterious.
Okay. I'm going to send you a link to this recording again, so maybe just go over the picots again and just practice them. It's just a question of doing it and getting used, because it's weird to tension that little knot, and that knot doesn't behave. So it's just relaxing and opening it up a little bit and then closing it a bit and just wiggling the bobbins until it falls into place. And if it doesn't fall into place, maybe just leave it, just move on to the next one and see what happens. So it's okay if the vein is also a little bit jiggly and wiggly. Sewings are integral parts of piece lace. You cannot make all your pieces stick together without sewings. So I would like you to practice sewings too. See maybe if you can get a crochet hook suitable for the thread that you are using, because a crochet hook is much easier to hook that little loop through than using a needle.
I have a 1.25 millimeter hook.
Oh, that's great.
That you do. For crochet thread, yes, definitely, yes. I have such fine ones that it's actually not useful for this. It's too fine for the. I have an 0.4 and an 0.6 crochet hook, but that's really just for
0.6 is almost invisible.
Yes, it's basically just a spike with the tiniest little nick on it.
I definitely have a thread doodle going on here.
Let's have a look. I'll just spotlight that for everyone. Nice. Nice. You're actually going to, I think you're going to finish this one this evening or tomorrow, definitely. So your homework would then be to make another one that is maybe a little bit more considered.
Yes, definitely. A little more deliberate.
and then you can make it also spend a little bit more time on the design and make it something interesting, a line drawing of sorts, or an abstract piece, or whatever tickles your fancy. Doodling in thread is the essence of lace, and if you're comfortable with doodling with lace, you can fix any lace problem. I'd really like you to get comfortable with just playing with your thread and just experimenting, seeing what happens, being open to weird things happening, and seeing, and just not be scared to try things. So I'd love to please let me know if you're still struggling with the picots. Maybe I can figure out a different way to show you, to demonstrate it. That'll be slightly easier. I
think the picots are getting easier. The sewings I'll definitely have to practice more.
And yeah, it's now it used to be the other way around for me. I always thought picots were easy and sewings were no, I always thought sewings were easy and the well, no, now I'm confused too. Well, one was easy and the one was hard, and now today the other one was hard. So it maybe depends.
To it, obviously. So it took on this like really weird shape. So now I'm going to try it again with the winding like you showed us now. So I definitely
Fantastic.
learned something.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Oh,
Yeah, I knew I was going to learn something. So because I didn't go through the steps, I just jumped into the deep pool and I don't know what I'm doing. But something is.
Yeah. And I never thought that twisting the thread would have a big impact, but sometimes it does. It depends on the thread. Sometimes you have a loosely spun thread, and then adding a couple of extra twists doesn't matter, but sometimes you don't, and then just a couple more extra threads makes the finished lace just run like all gnarly.
Yeah, it's really loose, this thread that I was working with. So it was supposed to be like this wool type look. So yeah, it was fun. It was unexpected and a nice surprise to see it like spring together.
Oh, interesting. Sarah, how did the picots go?
I got there once I stopped thinking about them.
Okay, okay, cool. So maybe that's the key. Just go for it. Just loop
Just go
them
for
around
it and just let it ride, and so there'll be lots of Pico practice. So
Cool.
there's a Pico problem when there'll be lots of Pico practice.
Cool. Cool. Oh, thanks for joining in tonight. Thanks for being sports. Thank you, Carolyn.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
See you
Thank
next
you,
week.
Pierre.
Yes, sorry. Did you want to say something, Carolyn? Sorry.
No, I just want to say thank you. It was you covered a lot for a first lesson for some newies, and I think it's exciting that everyone can go away and do something, because that's what it's about.
Yeah, please let me know if I'm going too fast. The idea is that I want this to be a crash course to just teach you as much as possible in the quickest time possible. So let's see how that goes. So please stop me if you need more practice on anything. Okay.
And also to just encourage you to experiment, because Pierre told you to do a few things, but just pull the thread out and pull it back and just see what it does. It's wonderful. Yeah. Okay. Have a good week.
Thank you, Carolyn.
You too.
You too.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.
Good night.